1. The word proves those first hearing it as numb to understanding as the ones who have not heard. Yet all things follow from the word. Some, blundering with what I set before you, try in vain with empty talk to separate the essences of things and say how each thing truly is. And all the rest make no attempt. They no more see how they behave broad waking than remember clearly what they did asleep. 2. For wisdom listen not to me but to the word, and know that all is one. 3. Those unmindful when they hear, for all they make of their intelligence, may be regarded as the walking dead. 4. People dull their wits with gibberish and cannot use their ears and eyes. 5. Many fail to grasp what they have seen and cannot judge what they have learned, although they tell themselves they know. 6. Yet they lack the skill to listen or to speak. 7. Whoever cannot seek the unforeseen sees nothing, for the known way is an impasse. 8. Men dig tons of earth to find an ounce of gold. 9. Omitted. 10. Things keep their secrets. 11. Yet without obscurity or needless explanation, the true prophet signifies. 12. The prophet's voice possessed of God requires no ornament, no sweetening of tone, but carries over 1,000 years. 13. The eye, the ear, the mind in action, these I value. 14. Now that we can travel anywhere, we need no longer take the poets and myth-makers for sure witnesses about disputed facts. 15. What eyes witness, ears believe on hearsay. 16. If learning were a path of wisdom, those most learned about myth would not believe with Hesiod that Pallas in her wisdom gloats over the noise of battle. 17. Pythagoras may well have been the deepest in his learning of all men, and still he claimed to recollect details of former lives, being in one a cucumber and one time a sardine. 18. Of all the words yet spoken, none comes quite as far as wisdom, which is the action of the mind beyond all things that may be said. 19. Wisdom is the oneness of mind that guides and permeates all things. 20. That which always was and is and will be ever living fire, the same for all, the cosmos made neither by God nor man, replenishes in measure as it burns away. 21. Fire, in its ways of changing, is a sea transfigured between forks of lightning and the solid earth. 22. As all things change to fire, and fire exhausted falls back into things, the crops are sold for money spent on food. 23. The earth is melted into the sea by that same reckoning, whereby the sea sinks into the earth. 24. Hunger, even in the elements, and insolence. 25. Air dies giving birth to fire, fire dies giving birth to air. Water thus is born of dying earth and earth of water. 26. Fire of all things is the judge and ravisher. 27. How, From a fire that never sinks or sets would you escape. 28. One thunderbolt strikes root through everything. 29. No being, not the sun itself, exceeds due measure, but contending powers set things right. 30. Dawn turns to dusk around the pivot of the north. Southward lies the zone of greater light. 31. Without the sun, what day, what night? 32. The sun is new again, all day. 33. The mind of Thales saw in forethought, clearly as in heaven, the eclipse. 34. The sun, timekeeper of the day and season, oversees all things. 35. Many who have learned from Hesiod the countless names of gods and monsters never understand that night and day are one. 36. By cosmic rule, as day yields night, so winter summer, war peace, plenty famine. All things change. Fire penetrates the lump of myrrh until the joining bodies die and rise again, in smoke called incense. 37. If everything were turned to smoke, the nose would be the seat of judgment. 38. Thus, in the abysmal dark, the soul is known by scent. 39. What was cold soon warms, and warmth soon cools. So moisture dries, and dry things drown. 40. What was scattered gathers. What was gathered blows apart. 41. The river where you set your foot just now is gone. Those waters giving way to this, now this. 42. Omitted. 43. The poet was a fool who wanted no conflict among us, gods or people. Harmony needs low and high, as progeny needs man and woman. 44. War, as father of all things and king, names few to serve as gods, and of the rest makes these men slaves, those free. 45. The mind, to think of the accord that strains against itself, needs strength, as does the arm to string the bow or lyre. 46. From the strain of binding opposites comes harmony. 47. The harmony past knowing sounds more deeply than the known. 48. Yet let's not make rash guesses our most lucid thoughts. 49. Seekers of wisdom first need sound intelligence. 50. Under the comb, the tangle and the straight path are the same. 51. An ass prefers a bed of litter to a golden throne. 52. The sea is both pure and tainted, healthy and good haven to the fish, to men impotable and deadly. 53. Poultry bathe in dust and ashes, swine in filth. 54. Omitted. 55. Hungry livestock, though in sight of pasture, need the prod. 56. The cosmos works by harmony of tensions, like the lyre and bow. 57. Therefore, good and ill are one. 58. Good and ill to the physician surely must be one, since he derives his fee from torturing the sick. 59. Two made one are never one. Arguing the same we disagree. Singing together we compete. We choose each other to be one, and from the one both soon diverge. 60. Without injustices, the name of justice would mean what? 61. While cosmic wisdom understands all things are good and just, intelligence may find injustice here and justice somewhere else. 62. Justice in our minds is strife. We cannot help but see war makes us as we are. 63. Thus are things decreed by fate. 64. Though what the waking see is deadly, what the sleeping see is death. 65. The oneness of all wisdom may be found, or not, under the name of God. 66. The living, when the dead wood of the bow springs back to life, must die. 67. Gods live past our meager death. We die past their ceaseless living. 68. As souls change into water on their way through death, so water changes into earth. And as water springs from earth, so from water does the soul. 69. The way up is the way back. 70. The beginning is the end. 71. The soul is undiscovered, though explored forever to a depth beyond report. 72. Moisture makes the soul succumb to joy. 73. An old drunk leaning on a youngster, saturated with bad wine, head weaker than his feet. 74. Dry, the soul grows wise and good. 75. A dry light dries the earth. 76. Omitted. 77. A man in the quiet of the night is kindled like a fire soon quenched. 78. Only the living may be dead, the waking sleep, the young be old. 79. Time is a game played beautifully by children. 80. Applicants for wisdom, do what I have done. Inquire within. 81. Just as the river where I step is not the same and is, so I am as I am not. 82. The rule that makes its subject weary is a sentence of hard labor. 83. For this reason, change gives rest. 84. Goat cheese melted in warm wine congeals if not well stirred. 85. Corpses, like night soil, get carted off. 86. The living, though they yearn for consummation of their fate, need rest, and in their turn leave children to fulfill their doom. 87. In 30 years a newborn boy can grow to father him a son, who grows by then to father sons himself. 88. 30 therefore names the moon of generation. 89. Look, the baby born under the new moon, under the old moon, holds her grandchild in her arms. 90. Even a soul submerged in sleep is hard at work, and helps make something of the world. 91. Since mindfulness of all things is the ground of being, to speak one's true mind, and to keep things known in common, serves all being, just as laws made clear uphold the city, yet with greater strength. Of all pronouncements of the law, the one source is the word, whereby we choose what helps true mindfulness prevail. 92. Although we need the word to keep things known in common, people still treat specialists as if their nonsense were a form of wisdom. 93. Fools seek counsel from the ones they doubt. 94. People need not act and speak as if they were asleep. 95. The waking have one world in common. Sleepers meanwhile turn aside, each into a darkness of his own. 96. The habit of knowledge is not human but divine. 97. The language of a grown man to the cosmic powers sounds like baby talk to men. 98. To a god, the wisdom of the wisest man sounds apish. Beauty in a human face looks apish too. In everything we have attained the excellence of apes. 99. The ape apes find most beautiful looks apish to non-apes. 100. People ought to fight to keep their law as to defend the city's walls. 101. The luckiest men die worthwhile deaths. 102. Gods, like men, revere the boys who die for them in battle. 103. Insolence needs drowning worse than wildfire. 104. Always having what we want may not be the best good fortune. Health seems sweetest after sickness, food in hunger, goodness in the wake of evil, and at the end of day-long labor sleep. 105. Yearning hurts, and what release may come of it feels much like death. 106. All people ought to know themselves, and everyone be wholly mindful. 107. To be even-minded is the greatest virtue. Wisdom is to speak the truth and act in keeping with its nature. 108. Not to be quite such a fool sounds good. The trick with so much wine and easy company is how. 109. Stupidity is better kept a secret than displayed. 110. Sound thinking is to listen well and choose one course of action. 111. What use are these people's wits who let themselves be led by speechmakers in crowds, without considering how many fools and thieves they are among, and how few choose the good? The best choose progress toward one thing, a name forever honored by the gods, while others eat their way toward sleep like nameless oxen. 112. Not far from the ancient city of Miletus lived the son of Tutamas, whose name was Bias. I would have it known, this one man, more than others, earned the good esteem of worthy people. 113. Give me one man from among 10,000, if he be the best. 114. As for the Ephesians, I would have them, youths, elders, and all those between, go hang themselves, leaving the city in the abler hands of children. With banishment of Hermodoros, they say, no man should be worthier than average. Thus, my fellow citizens declare, whoever would seek excellence can find it elsewhere among others. 115. Dogs, by this same logic, bark at what they cannot understand. 116. What is not yet known, those blinded by bad faith can never learn. 117. Stupidity is doomed, therefore, to cringe at every syllable of wisdom. 118. While those who mouth high talk may think themselves high-minded, justice keeps the book on hypocrites and liars. 119. Homer I deem worthy, in a trial by combat, of good cudgelling, and Archilochos the same. 120. Any day stands equal to the rest. 121. One's bearing shapes one's fate. 122. After death comes nothing hoped for, nor imagined. 123. The revenant keeps watch over the dead and living. 124. Nightwalker, magus, and their entourage, bacchants and mystics of the winepress, with stained faces and damp wits. 125. Initiation here into the ancient mysteries, so honored among men, mocks holiness. 126. They raise their voices at stone idols, as a man might argue with his doorpost. They have understood so little of the gods. 127. Dionysus is their name for death, and if they did not claim the statue of the drunk they worshipped was a god, or call their incoherent song about his cock their hymn, everyone would know what filth their shamelessness has made of them and of the name of God. 128. A sacred ritual may be performed by one entirely purified but seldom. Other rites belong to those confined in the sodden lumber of the body. 129. Tainted souls who try to purify themselves with blood are like the man who steps in filth and thinks to bathe in sewage. 130. Silence, healing.